I'm going to show you another tool that you can use called action macros. And action macros are used to help you automate playback or to do functions that you might want to link to a playback action. And action macros can be loaded onto the direct selects, and that's Sense 7.2 software. So I've made a couple of action macros already, and these are using an action macro that loads a page of master content. And in this particular setup, in two-scene mode, you've got masters playbacks 1 through 10 on the bottom row, and you've got playbacks 21 through 30 on the top row. And what these action macros are going to do, very simply, clean up the browser, is they're going to load pages into different parts of the console. There's an action macro list where you can enter the information that you want to appear on the buttons here. I've made action macros 1 and 2. They appear on buttons 1 and 2 in the direct select panel. And you can see the content here uses the page command to load page 201, comma, onto the first range of masters, which in this case is the range at the bottom row. The second action macro loads page 101 onto the second range of masters, the range of masters starting with 21, which happens to correspond to my blind or my top row in two-scene mode. I don't have to be in two-scene mode to make this work. These commands will work just fine when the console's in other modes, but this is an easy way for me to show it to you in the context of this tutorial. So I'm going to close the action macro list because we don't need it open for any reason. We can just push the buttons here. Right, so I can load page 101, which loads information into the top row, masters 21 through 30, because that's what the action macro said, load 101, page 101, comma 2, loads it into that second range. I can use my other action macro to load page 201 to the bottom row. This page happens to be empty and ready for me to add information to, but that macro was to load page 201, comma 1, the first range, the bottom row of masters. So this takes the loading of information onto your masters down to a single button press based on your ability to configure those pages to your needs. Some pages might be slow song, fast song, specific parts of the show that you know is going to come up where you need information to look a certain way, or whatever kind of information you like to gang together on a single grouping of masters. So far, we've talked about how the masters can be used to add information to your stage look. You can also use masters to help you take stuff away. And that can be done using an inhibitive submaster or an inhibitive master type. You might want to use this if you're using a lot of effect playbacks. Remember that effect playbacks are controlled by an intensity level that determines whether they're running or not. If you have a lot of effects running and you want to be able to selectively or as a group bring those effects out of your stage look, you could create a group of those effects, place that group onto a master, and set that master to be an inhibitive. So I'll just do that really quickly here for master 9. I'm going to display my groups again and find myself a nice empty number. And I'm going to record my effects 1 and 2 to that group very quickly by hitting record direct select and picking one of my empties. Simply give it a name. Effects 1 and 2. I can take that group now, 36, place it on my master number 9. And what that does now is it raises and lowers the effect playbacks. Now, in this case, I didn't give the effects any intensity level above mark because I don't need to. I'm using this as an inhibitive. If I want to actually control these, I would give them a level above 0 or above mark. In this case, unimportant, set up master number 9. And you can see that the mode for this master, the reason we're seeing the mark level, is because this is an inclusive master. It will pile on its information. It's included in the show as far as recording goes. That's not my intent right now. What I want to do is I want to create an inhibitive master. And an inhibitive master acts as a mini grandmaster. So now I've brought up the content effects manually on the wheel, so they're running, but they're only running when the inhibitive master is above 0. When it's at full, I can control my effects normally from normal intensity commands, from masters, from playbacks, and so on. When I bring this inhibitive master down, though, I'm reducing the output of those effects and then, in fact, causing them to not play back at all by having that master down. So inhibitives can be a very powerful way for you to suppress parts of your rig, in addition to having masters where you can turn parts of the rig on.